By early 2026, the market value for Near protocol is increasingly defined by a binary structural outcome. On the downside, we are monitoring a floor of 95 cents to $1.50, a range dictated by persistent supply-side inflation and the failure to convert high transaction throughput into meaningful fee burns. But on the upside, we're modeling a technical expansion towards $12 to $15, contingent on the successful migration of AI agentic commerce to the Near mainnet. Today, we'll break down the mechanical levers that decide which of these two paths the asset follows. For institutional participants, Near is no longer an Ethereum killer narrative. It is a valuation problem centered on stage storage costs and network abstraction. While the retail market focuses on sentiment, our focus is on the contrast between a utility floor of $1.50, where the token is valued purely as a gas asset, and an infrastructure premium target of $8 or more, where Near serves as a unified liquidity layer. We will also examine one structural detail most models ignore: the impact of Grayscale and Bitwise ETF filings on the asset's liquidity depth. But in our neutral or stagnation scenario, we'll call it, Near is going to remain trapped in a $1.80 to $3.50 range throughout most of 2026. This baseline exists because despite the network processing over 4 million daily transactions, the gas cost remains so low, averaging around a penny, that the burn rate fails to offset the fixed 5% annual inflation. The tokenomics just aren't adding up, guys, right? We are not burning as much as we're creating, and that is a problem if you're looking for price appreciation of the token. So what is not going to move the price out of this range? We see a lot of news stories, we hear a lot of things like this is going to help Near protocol, go up in value. But what's not going to help? The generic partnerships that don't drive on-chain volume. We've seen several of those. The current 350 million TVL, which is insufficient to create the liquidity moat seen in ecosystems like Solana or Ethereum. Incremental developer growth that stays within the testnet phase. So guys, why does growth not equal price? The primary frustration for holders is seeing Near rank in the top 5 for developer growth, while the price trades in a sub $2 accumulation zone. Historically, usage has not translated into price because Near's Nightshade sharding tool is too efficient. By increasing capacity to 9 shards in 2025, the network effectively eliminated the congestion premium that usually drives token demand during peak cycles. They're too smart for their own good, pretty much. The asset's currently experiencing immature value capture. While the network handles 100,000 transactions per second, the mechanism to return that value to the token, beyond simple staking rewards, is still in the production readiness stage. And until transaction volume scales by another factor of 10, the $1.50 to $2.50 floor remains the gravitational center for the asset. So to transition, guys, if we want to hit that $4 to $7 mid-range band, the chain abstraction stack must move from a technical roadmap to a revenue-generating reality. This architecture allows Near to act as a remote control for other blockchains, meaning a user on Near can sign transactions on Bitcoin or Ethereum via network signatures. The structural improvement here is the unified liquidity layer. If Near successfully aggregates cross-chain volume, the demand for the tokens shifts from payment for gas to collateral for security. And this justifies a much higher valuation. But the price would be capped around that $7 mark, as long as competitive L2s continue to offer subsidized bridging, limiting Near's market share in the interoperability sector. So guys, what are our catalysts for the upper range case? Everybody knows we want to get as high as we can. We're talking $12 to $17. This would require 3 specific conditions, all to align by mid-2026. Number 1, SEC approval of a spot Near ETF. Following the February 2026 Grayscale filing, a successful S1 conversion would provide the institutional buy-side pressure necessary to break the multi-year resistance of $8. We need AI agentic commerce. NEAR must prove its blockchain for AI thesis by hosting autonomous agents that use NEAR as a settlement layer for high-frequency micropayments. We need to see net deflation. On-chain fees must increase to a point where the 70% burn rate exceeds the 5% issuance, turning the token into a deflationary asset for the first time ever. In this scenario, we reframe NEAR protocol as a coordination layer for the decentralized AI economy, not just as another smart contract platform. So guys, what are our downside constraints? How about risks? So we have to balance this with the structural risks that could force a retest all the way down to 95 cents. We don't like to hear it, but we have to talk about it. Number one is dilution, right? We talked about this before. Can the burn rate match the inflation, the 5% inflation? So while the protocol is fully unlocked, the infinite supply model means 5% of the total supply, roughly 60 million, enters the market annually as rewards. It's just, can we offset that? Can the burn rate offset the 5% inflation issued out as rewards? Structural leakage. If competing intents protocols are captured the cross-chain market first, NEAR's architecture becomes a ghost city of high capacity but zero throughput. And regulatory ceiling. Any delay in the ETF process could cause an institutional exit, returning the price to a $1.40 liquidity pocket. And guys, here's the final price map, right? To summarize it for 2026, where I think this is going. The failure case, right? The bear case, 95 cents to $1.50. We see high inflation meets low fee burn. The AI thesis fails to gain traction. The partial success case, $4 to $7. Chain abstraction works, but competition keeps a lid on valuation. And the full thesis case, $12 to $17. Institutional ETF approval coincides with a deflationary shift driven by AI agent volume. So price in 2026 is not a matter of if the technology works. It's a matter of whether the economic design can finally catch up to the engineering. In our next deep dive, guys, we're going to analyze the validator seat price volatility, a metric that often front runs major price moves by at least 30 days. But until then, this is Luke with Ledger Prime. We'll see you in the next one.